Good afternoon. My name is Roney Gutierrez. I work for the USDA Natural Resources Conservation Service. I want to thank the Charlotte Harbor National Estuary Program for inviting me in representation of USDA and NRCS to your program. And I think that this is going to be a worthwhile time. As I speak about RCPP, a relatively new program under the Farm Bill that I think a lot of entities represented here may be interested in. So a little bit quickly about NRCS. Natural Resources Conservation Service, which started out as the Soil Erosion, then Soil Conservation Service, was created in 1935 in response to the Dust Bowl crisis. Our vision is productive lands in a healthy environment, and our mission is helping people help the land. That is how we go about our daily tasks, and that's what we keep in mind and in our hearts every day. NRCS is many things to many people, but one thing we are not is a regulatory agency. We assist with the implementation of various technical and financial programs, but again, not regulatory. The closest thing we come to regulatory is looking at determining highly erodible land and making wetland determinations. Our clients are farmers, ranchers, units of government, community groups, watershed planning groups, all private landowners who need natural resources help, including tribe and tribal members. What are our financial programs? Our largest nationwide is the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, EQIP. We also have Conservation Stewardship Program and our easement program, which includes agricultural land easements to keep land in agriculture and wetland easements to restore often land in agriculture to wetlands. And I'll talk more in detail about these. Again, all participation is voluntary. So that's kind of a quick bird's eye view of who we are, what we do, why we do it, and yeah. So what is RCPP, which is why we're here? RCPP, though, you can't probably see it too well. Yeah, you might. In green letters, our Regional Conservation Partnership Program is a new program approved in the 2014 Farm Bill that mobilizes partnerships to multiply investments and reach common conservation goals. All that to say is it opens up a door, an opportunity for us to work with entities to work together, put funds, technical assistance together, maybe synergize and create greater impacts by joining forces. As I said, it's 2014 Farm Bill. We believe it, and I think it already has demonstrated it can further conservation goals on a regional scale, encourages partners to cooperate. Whereas before we were, we go out, we talk with the landowner, we come up with a plan, we follow up in the implementation, it's just us and the landowner. Well, this is a different model for us. It provides assistance through partnership agreements, contracts, easement agreements. It combines the purpose and functions of previous regional programs we used to have, and I could fill you with acronyms, but I won't. Just suffice to say that we have a different sort of programs, a variety of programs that have been rolled up into this RCPP. So again, it's an opportunity to work with NRCS or for NRCS to work with partners. It's locally driven innovation, we foresee that. Create high-performance solutions, accelerate conservation, bold ideas, demonstrate the value and efficacy of voluntary private lands and conservation. So how do we measure success? What are we looking for here? We're looking for deliverables, you might say, as we work with our partners. One of them as it relates to solutions. We're going to look for partners that can offer proposals that generate near-term results that are measurable from environmental, economic, social perspectives. Partners in NRCS are involved with documenting the outcomes of these investments. So yeah, we want results. Contributions, we're looking for those partners that are willing to invest a significant amount of assistance. Not always funding, sometimes staff, technical assistance. Innovation. NRCS is always open to learning new ways. We've had various programs over the years that promote innovation and conservation practices. This is no exception. And participation. Again, historically, as I mentioned, we were created in response to the Dust Bowl. And the solution that the agency came up with at that time and still implements today is we work with private landowners one-on-one to do micro-level implementation of practices. And cumulatively, we believe that's the best way to respond on a watershed level, on a regional level. We are not, although it may be necessary sometimes, into big, high infrastructure projects. RCPP funds are provided or offered through a request for proposals annually, and the funds are offered through 3 different types of funding pools. One is national. It simply says that if you're interested in offering a proposal that is multi-state, national is probably the way to go. There are 8 in the middle critical conservation areas that agency has identified. One of them is in Florida, longleaf pine critical area. So if you have longleaf pine project, there are additional funds available for you, possibly, and there are state funds that every state gets for its own RCPP proposal. So in the case of Florida, for example, we received approximately $1 million this year to fund projects, and we had various agencies, in this case, Fish and Wildlife Commission, Florida Forest Service, come to us in partnership even with Fish and Wildlife Service and other partners to try to access those funds. Last year we received $1.4 million, and if you ask me, I'd probably tell you it'd probably be around $1 million for the state level RCPP funding. On a national level, that amount of funding is significantly more. I think it's somewhere in the $200 million, the first year $300 million range. Critical areas, as you see them here, are 8 of them spread out through the country. As I said, in Florida, we're talking about longleaf pine. Authorities, all of this is to say that RCPP in of itself, it does not have the authority to provide funds directly. It is an umbrella program that says, hey, you know, we're looking for partners to work on conservation. Oh, great, this is a great project. Let's write an agreement with this partner. The funds, however, will come through one of the already existing programs, such as EQIP, CSP, etc. And here's where we get into the details. What is EQIP? If you were to provide a proposal saying, oh, I want to do an RCPP agreement, this is a great project area, why don't we provide funds, we'll put about 50%, NRCS can provide in at 50%. What are the types of programs we can implement together? EQIP. Conservation practices, we call them, many places call them best management practices, anything from improved irrigation systems, improved prescribed grazing systems, livestock management, water quality practices of all sorts. All, however, end up being implemented on private landowner property. Conservation Stewardship Program, it's a little different from EQIP. EQIP is the traditional international model that says, oh, you have a conservation, you have a resource issue. We can address it by helping you establish this, critical area planting or cover crop. Great, we've addressed it. We'll pay you 50%, reimburse you 50% of the cost. The landowner or the partner puts up the other 50%. That's why it's called an incentive. It provides incentives for landowners to implement conservation. Other neighbors watch and look and listen, and they learn, as farmers tend to do, and they start implementing it on their own. That's the model here and every other place probably in the world for incentive programs. Conservation Stewardship Program has a different take on it. It's a model that was created in 2012, not 2008. And it says, you know what, there are already good conservation landowners out there. Let's identify them, let's promote them, let's reward them, and then make them a model for everybody. Let's promote them even more. And that's what CSP is about. And it's, in practice, very similar to EQIP and what we're providing assistance to the landowner, but in the model, it's a little bit different take as to how we're identifying those landowners. We're not looking for resource problems like in EQIP. We're looking for good conservationists out in that watershed. But the practices end up being very similar in the end. And then there's the easement programs. There are two general types. As I mentioned, the agricultural land easements, and as I know some of you here are already familiar, it involves protecting the long-term viability of the nation's food supply. So we look for agricultural land and landowners who want to stay in agriculture, and we purchase the rights to that property so that it stays in agriculture if that landowner ever sells it. Wetland reserve, however, it's a little different. Oops, let me jump. We are looking for bad agriculture. We're looking for land that is not producing that well, probably, on very poor soils, and the landowner is very happy to get out of the agricultural business because it's not doing too well for them. It may be something else, like a grazing system in Florida will suffice, but the row crop and the orchard business is just not working for them on this mucky soil. Wetland reserve is a great option for them, and we restore land back to historical wetland conditions. So we're looking, in this case, for land that is typically drained because it's very saturated normally, and we want to restore it to what it used to look like, not back in the dinosaur days, because we were probably all underwater here, but maybe 50 years ago, 100 years ago, when before that land was physically drained through ditches. Healthy Forest Reserve is one of the more flexible programs, and it often is the one that has been up to now, the one that has been pursued mostly through RCPP proposals up in the Panhandle, where we have forest landowners and we want to promote the protection of that forest land and sustainability of that forest land. So we want to promote recovery of endangered species within that forest, promote plant and animal biodiversity, enhance carbon sequestration as we restore that forest, again, into a good sustainable ecosystem. And finally, the Watershed Protection and Flood Protection Prevention Act. In a nutshell, it's a program designed to address watershed problems. In this case, there may be some significant infrastructure. It is probably the least used program that we have up to now because funding availability tends to be inconsistent at best. Program authorities, I won't burden you with the too much of the authorities, but I do want to say at this point is RCPP is a unique federal program in the sense that if you have a form, for example, a USDA, an agency form, Form SCA-11B-CCCCCC, it'll take an act of Congress sometimes for you to modify a government form. So people say, well, can we change this part of that form? And that information isn't probably good, doesn't work for us. We say, I'm sorry, we can't. But in RCPP, pretty much everything is up for consideration. All program rules can be modified with proper justification. That allows flexibility for us to tweak our programs as approved by statute, by Congress, and maybe tweak them so that we can make them work better in Florida with a conservation partner. That's a very unique aspect of this program, and unlike anything that I've experienced before. So the partners, if they get approved for a proposal, can request for an adjustment of the terms of a program, the programs I just mentioned, EQIP, CSP, easement programs. And again, there's no guarantee, but they may be considered. Eligibility. So we are looking for the proposals for RCPP, producer associations, state local government, tribes, farmer cooperatives, districts, institutions, universities, organizations established with a history of working with producers, land, pretty much all kinds of agricultural land and forest land under production. And the process is fairly simple, not short, I can't promise you that, but it is fairly simple. You put in a pre-proposal. If you get selected, you requested to submit a full proposal. Those that were selected for pre-proposals this year are submitting their full proposals in November. I hope I'm within my 20 minutes. And if you have need for more information, you could always look on our website. And if you don't remember this website, you can always Google NRCS RCPP, and I'm sure our webpage is going to come up within the top 10 hits. Any questions? Yes.
Do you have any information on how this program's being implemented locally, like a number or percentage of landowners or number of landowners that are taking advantage of these programs in Southwest Florida?
So of the programs that we have approved thus far?
Yes, some information about how this is being implemented in this region.
Okay, so the first round of proposals was circulated in 2014. We've only, about a month ago, signed the agreements with, maybe 2 months ago, signed the agreements with those partners. I hate to say that. It's embarrassing to say, but with a new program, sometimes it tends to drag out longer than necessary. All that to say is that we're only now beginning the implementation stage of the RCPP proposals that were approved in 2014. They are proposing to bring in landowners to participate. One project in the Northern Everglades with Fish and Wildlife Commission, potentially 10 to 15 producers would be involved. The forest land project that was approved other than the Panhandle, we have a couple of forest landowners. And then we do have a water conservation with Georgia, Alabama, and Northern Florida that anticipates having maybe 100 landowners participating, though that's mostly for improved water delivery systems. Again, the other ones is for improved forest management, and the one in the Everglades is going to be for endangered species protection, basically acquiring easements to protect habitat for Florida panther and gopher tortoise. Any other questions?
Well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.